Now, President Trump says he wants to renegotiate the Paris Accord, starting immediately. Who's with us? The administrator, EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt, here in New York on the set with me. Mr. Administrator, if that's the correct form of address, is it?
Stuart, yes, absolutely.
Mr. Administrator?
Yes, good to see you.
Welcome to Varney and Company.
Good to be with you.
Do you think we can get a better deal, and if so, in what area and with whom?
Well, what we ought to be focused upon, Stuart, is exporting the innovation and technology that we've been using for decades to reduce our CO2 footprint, not agreeing to targets that can't be met.
That's
contracting.
That's hydraulic fracturing, aren't you?
That's horizontal drilling. People don't realize this, but we're at pre-1994 levels right now in this country with respect to our CO2 footprint. And we've reduced our CO2 footprint by 18+% since the year 2000. And we've done that through innovation and technology, not because of a deal cut in Paris.
So, let me get this straight. America has done better than I think all other industrial societies in lowering CO2 emissions because we've switched to natural gas and away from oil and coal. And we've switched to natural gas because it's cheap, and our American frackers produce it in abundance. Yeah. And you now want to export fracking technology, is that it?
They should be receptive to that. We also have clean coal technology in this country to make sure that we're using all forms of energy. I think where the EPA has made a mistake historically is they've tried to pick winners and losers in the energy mix. And what we ought to be focused upon is fuel diversity in generating electricity, from coal to natural gas to hydro to nuclear. And we can do that in a way that reduces that CO2 footprint. We've led the world. We have nothing to be apologetic about. You know, what Paris represented was an apologetics view, setting artificial targets that contracted our economy, that put us at a disadvantage with China and India and Europe. That's the reason they want us to stay in it.
Okay. Now, the left, still on the Paris climate deal, the left is apoplectic. They're piling on. Listen to what Nancy Pelosi said about President Trump.
How is he ever going to explain to his grandchildren what he did to the air they breathe, assuming they breathe air? Pathetic. Pathetic. Speaker of the House, the President of the United States. So wrong, so uninformed, so irresponsible to future generations of America.
Well, Mr. Administrator, that was pretty strong stuff from Nancy Pelosi. She used the word pathetic. Would you like to respond?
Yeah, what's pathetic is the short memory that sometimes is used with respect to this issue. Because when the Paris Accord was cut, the father of climate science, James Hansen, former NASA scientist, called the Paris Accord a fake and a fraud. The Sierra Club General Counsel criticized the deal. You know why? Because China and India didn't have to take any steps under the deal until 2030. India conditioned all of their activity on $2.5 trillion in aid that would pass through the Green Climate Fund. While we have already taken steps to reduce our CO2 footprint, those nations were not required to take any steps. I mean, this whole process in Paris was all about talk. The previous administration talked a good game, but they did very little. What the president is doing now is saying, let's focus on what we've achieved as a country, export that to the rest of the world, and engage in true discussion on how to reduce CO2.
Does President Trump believe that the climate is warming? And if he believes that, does he think that human activity creates that warming?
I mean, what the president has said is he believes the climate changes, obviously, and from my perspective, when you look at the Paris Accord, what the focus was on is getting a good deal for this country as we respond to it through right processes and right focus.
So let me be clear. Should we be concerned about future changes in our climate given current trends?
I mean, Paris represented...
Should we? I mean,
absolutely, we should be focused upon using the greatest innovative technology to keep emission levels low in all areas and also growing an economy.
So the science is accurate in the sense that a problem looms. We should do something about CO2
I think the modeling that has been used over the last several years has absolutely been questionable. What we do know is human activity contributes to warming. What we do know is it's very difficult to measure with precision the amount of human activity contributing to the warming. So what we should do is focus upon, again, technology and innovation, reducing our emission levels, and also growing an economy. The past administration told us, Stuart, that we had to choose. You had to choose between jobs and the environment. That's never how we've done it as a country. What we've always done as a country is grow our economy, but also be a good steward of the environment. We can achieve that. We've demonstrated that since the year 2000.
Scott Pruitt, a man under a great deal of pressure, I'm sure, but thank you very much for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you.